81 soldiers, 0 survivors. Not one man made it back to tell what happened, not one. December 21st, 1866, Fort Phil Kearny, Wyoming Territory. Captain William Fetterman leads his men over Lodge Trail Ridge. They're chasing what looks like a small band of warriors, maybe 10, 12 at most. The warriors are running, stumbling, their horses look exhausted, easy prey. The cavalry charges forward, the infantry follows, they crest the ridge. The warriors suddenly stop running. They turn around and they smile. That's when Fetterman sees them, warriors rising from the ground, from behind rocks, from ravines, from everywhere. Not 10 warriors, not 100, 2,000. The war cries explode from 2,000 throats at once. The sound is so loud, soldiers at the fort 3 miles away can hear it. Fetterman has exactly 3 seconds to understand what's happening. He's not the hunter, he's the prey. This wasn't a chase, it was an execution, the most perfect ambush in military history. And it was planned by a man the army dismissed as a primitive savage. His name was Red Cloud, Mahpia Luta in Lakota. And in the next 20 minutes, he was about to hand the United States Army its worst defeat in the Indian Wars. Total annihilation, every single soldier dead. But here's what the history books don't tell you. Fetterman wasn't ambushed. He was warned 3 separate times by 3 different people. He ignored them all. He ignored them because he believed native warriors were inferior, undisciplined, cowardly. He was about to learn how wrong he was, in the worst possible way. To understand what happened on that frozen December morning, you need to understand the Bozeman Trail. And to understand the Bozeman Trail, you need to understand gold. Always gold. 1862. John White discovers gold in Alder Gulch, Montana Territory. Within a year, 10,000 prospectors flood into Montana. They need supplies. Food, equipment, everything. The problem: getting to Montana from the established trails takes months. You have to go all the way around through Salt Lake City or follow the Missouri River. Both routes add 600 miles, but there's a shortcut. Straight north from Fort Laramie in Wyoming, through the Powder River country into Montana. It cuts the journey in half. One small problem: the Powder River country belongs to the Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho. It's their last good hunting ground, the last place with enough buffalo to feed their families. It's been theirs by treaty since 1851. The Fort Laramie Treaty specifically says, this land belongs to the tribes. No white settlement, no roads, no passage without permission. John Bozeman doesn't care about treaties. In 1863, he blazes a trail straight through the heart of Lakota territory. The Bozeman Trail, 500 miles of wagon ruts through sacred hunting grounds. The Lakota watch the first wagons roll through. They see the buffalo scatter. They see the grass trampled. They know what this means. They've seen it before. First comes the trail, then the forts, then the settlers, then the land is gone forever. Red Cloud is 44 years old in 1866. He's not a hereditary chief. He earned his position through war. By age 16, he'd killed his first enemy. By 40, he'd led successful raids against the Pawnee, Crow, Ute, and Shoshone. He had 80 coups, documented acts of bravery in battle. He understands something the other chiefs are beginning to realize. This isn't about one trail. This is about survival. If the Bozeman Trail succeeds, the Lakota are finished. In the summer of 1865, Red Cloud begins attacking wagon trains. Small raids at first. Kill a few emigrants. Burn the wagons. Send a message. This trail will cost you blood. The attacks increase. By winter, no wagon train is safe. The army realizes they have a problem. They need to protect the trail. But they're stretched thin. The Civil War just ended. Most troops are dealing with Reconstruction in the South, June 1866. The government tries diplomacy. They invite Red Cloud and other chiefs to Fort Laramie for negotiations. Come sign a new treaty, they say. We'll pay you for passage through your lands. Red Cloud arrives at Fort Laramie on June 13th. He's willing to listen. Maybe peace is possible. Maybe they can find a compromise. Then, on June 14th, Colonel Henry Carrington marches into Fort Laramie with 700 soldiers from the 18th Infantry Regiment. Red Cloud asks the treaty commissioners, "Why are these soldiers here?" The commissioner, trying to be honest, says they're going to build forts along the Bozeman Trail to protect travelers. Red Cloud stands up. His face is fury itself. "You treat us as children. You pretend to negotiate for a road while the soldiers are already here to steal it. I will not sign your treaty, and I will fight any man who tries to build forts in our land." He walks out. Most of the other chiefs follow him. The commissioners are left sitting there. They get a few minor chiefs to sign. They declare the treaty a success. The Bozeman Trail is now legally open. Red Cloud has other plans. Colonel Carrington reaches the Powder River country in July 1866. His orders: build 3 forts along the Bozeman Trail, Fort Reno in the south, Fort Phil Kearny in the center, Fort C.F. Smith in the north. Fort Phil Kearny becomes his headquarters, built on a plateau between Big Piney Creek and Little Piney Creek, about 15 miles south of present-day Sheridan, Wyoming. The fort is massive, 8 acres, stockade walls made from thousands of pine logs, enough space for 300 soldiers and 30 officers. Carrington is 42 years old, a lawyer by training. He spent the Civil War behind a desk in Ohio, recruiting soldiers and managing paperwork. This is his first real command, his first time fighting Indians. He's cautious, methodical. He reads every report about Indian warfare. He knows they're outnumbered. He estimates 2,000 warriors within striking distance of the fort. His men, 300 soldiers, 30 officers, maybe 200 civilians. He issues strict orders. No one leaves the fort without permission. Patrols must stay within sight of the fort. Wood trains get heavy guard details. No pursuit of Indians beyond Lodge Trail Ridge under any circumstances. That ridge, Lodge Trail Ridge. It runs parallel to the fort, about 5 miles north. On the other side, the land drops into Pino Creek Valley, perfect ambush territory, broken ground, dead spaces, 1,000 places for warriors to hide. Carrington knows it's a trap. He tells his officers repeatedly, "Do not cross that ridge." Enter Captain William Judd Fetterman. Fetterman is everything Carrington is not. Age 31. Civil War hero. Breveted to lieutenant colonel for bravery at the Battle of Stones River. He fought at Corinth, Vicksburg, Atlanta, Jonesboro. He's seen elephant, as soldiers say. He's been in real combat, and he has nothing but contempt for Indians. At officer meetings, Fetterman makes his opinions clear. These Indians are cowards. They hit and run. They won't stand and fight like real soldiers. Give him a chance, and he'll show these savages what real war looks like. His famous boast, repeated multiple times: "Give me 80 men, and I can ride through the entire Sioux nation." Other officers share his confidence. Captain Frederick Brown says Indians are harmless. Lieutenant George Grummond calls them undisciplined rabble. They've never fought Plains Indians before. Red Cloud has been watching the fort since construction began. Every routine, every weakness. He knows when the wood trains go out. He knows the patrol routes. He knows how long it takes reinforcements to arrive. And he knows about Fetterman. Warriors who spy on the fort report back. There's an officer who gets angry, who wants to chase them, who disobeys the careful colonel. Perfect. For 5 months, Red Cloud tests the fort's defenses. The pattern is always the same. Attack the wood train, wait for reinforcements, try to lure them over Lodge Trail Ridge. The wood train is the fort's weakness. They need timber for construction and firewood. Every day, soldiers escort wagons to the pine forests 5 miles away. They're vulnerable out there, far from the fort, spread out, perfect targets. Red Cloud assigns his best young warriors to be decoys, including a 24-year-old Oglala named Crazy Horse, Thashunke Witko. He's already gaining reputation for bravery and unconventional tactics. He never takes scalps. He never counts coup. He just kills enemies efficiently. December 6th, 1866, first major attempt, 7 in the morning. Temperature -15. The wood train rolls out, 40 soldiers escorting 30 wagons. An hour later, warriors attack. Not many, maybe 50. They whoop and holler, fire arrows, make lots of noise. The wood train circles up. Standard defensive formation. A rider gallops back to the fort for help. At the fort, Fetterman immediately volunteers to lead the relief. "Sir, let me take the mounted infantry. We can catch them." Carrington says no. He doesn't trust Fetterman. Instead, he sends Captain James Powell with 30 mounted infantry and specific orders. Relieve the wood train. Do not pursue Indians beyond Lodge Trail Ridge. Under no circumstances cross that ridge. Powell rides out. The warriors flee toward Lodge Trail Ridge. They ride slowly, looking back, taunting, daring the soldiers to follow. Powell reaches the ridge. He can see warriors on the other side. Just a few. Easy targets. He remembers his orders. He stops. He will not cross the ridge. The decoy warriors wait. They wave blankets. They shout insults. One gets off his horse and pretends to fix his equipment. Powell doesn't move. After an hour, the warriors give up and disappear. That night, Red Cloud meets with his war leaders. The careful colonel's subordinates follow orders. They need to try when the angry captain leads the relief. December 19th, second attempt. Another freezing morning, -20 now. The snow is 2 feet deep in places. The wood train heads out again. This time, Red Cloud sends more warriors, maybe 100. They attack more aggressively. Set one wagon on fire. Kill 2 soldiers. Back at the fort, Carrington is sick with a severe cold. His adjutant wakes him with news of the attack. Fetterman again volunteers to lead the relief. Carrington, groggy and frustrated, sends Lieutenant Horatio Bingham instead. Same orders. Do not cross Lodge Trail Ridge. Bingham is 25 years old, eager for glory. He leads 25 mounted infantry out of the fort at full gallop. The warriors flee toward the ridge. This time, they're more convincing. One warrior falls off his horse. Others ride back to help him. They move slowly, clustered together. Perfect targets. Bingham chases them to the ridge. He sees maybe 15 warriors on the other side. They're just sitting there, waiting. Something feels wrong. It's too perfect, too obvious. Then Bingham notices something. Fresh pony tracks, hundreds of them, all leading down into the valley beyond the ridge, all made within the last hour. He realizes it's a trap. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of warriors down there, waiting. He wheels his men around and gallops back to the fort. That night at the officers' mess, Bingham describes what he saw. It's an ambush. They're trying to lure us over that ridge. There's a massive force hidden in that valley. Some officers believe him. Others, including Fetterman, scoff. Indians don't have the discipline for complex ambushes. Bingham probably saw shadows and got scared. December 21st, 1866, 4:30 in the morning. The temperature gauge at the fort reads -25 degrees Fahrenheit. So cold that exposed skin freezes in minutes. Breath turns instantly to ice crystals that fall tinkling to the ground. Inside the fort, soldiers huddle around fires. Most haven't slept well. The cold seeps through the log walls. Ice forms on the inside of windows. Blankets feel like they're made of paper. Captain Fetterman is awake, fully dressed. He's been waiting for this. He knows the wood train will go out today. The fort is running low on firewood. They have no choice. At breakfast, he sits with his friend, Captain Frederick Brown. Brown is supposed to leave for Fort Laramie tomorrow. He's been transferred. This is his last day at Fort Phil Kearny. "I hope they attack today," Brown says. "I want one more chance at these savages before I leave." 10 in the morning, the wood train prepares to leave. Corporal Legro leads 90 soldiers and civilian contractors with 30 wagons. Carrington is in his headquarters, still sick. He's writing dispatches to send with Brown tomorrow, warning about the increasing Indian attacks, requesting more troops, more ammunition. 10:45. The lookout on Pilot Hill starts waving the flag. Indians attacking the wood train. The signal gun fires. Men rush to defensive positions. Carrington steps out of his headquarters. He sees the wood train in the distance, circled up. Warriors riding around it, maybe 40 or 50. He turns to his adjutant. Have Captain Powell prepare a relief detail. 40 infantry, Lieutenant Drummond, with 30 cavalry. Fetterman appears immediately. Colonel, I request command of this detail. I outrank Powell. It's true. Fetterman was breveted to lieutenant colonel during the war. In formal military protocol, he outranks Powell, who's only a captain. Carrington hesitates. He knows Fetterman is reckless, but military protocol is military protocol. And maybe, with specific orders, Fetterman will obey. Very well, Captain Fetterman, you will take command. He looks Fetterman directly in the eyes. You are to proceed directly to the wood train, relieve it and escort it back to the fort. Do not pursue Indians. Do not engage superior forces. Under no circumstances are you to cross Lodge Trail Ridge. Fetterman salutes. Yes, sir. As the relief force prepares, Captain Brown approaches Carrington. Colonel, I request permission to join the detail. Captain, you're leaving tomorrow. Sir, this is my last chance. Please. Carrington reluctantly agrees. 2 civilians also volunteer, James Wheatley and Isaac Fisher. They're armed with Henry repeating rifles, 16-shot, lever action, the most advanced weapons at the fort. We'll show these Indians what modern firearms can do, Fisher boasts. The relief force assembles at the gate. 49 infantry with Springfield muzzleloaders, 27 cavalry with Spencer carbines, 2 officers, 2 armed civilians, total 81 men. Exactly what Fetterman said he needed to ride through the entire Sioux nation, +1. Lieutenant Grummond's pregnant wife Frances watches from the fort walls. She has a bad feeling. She asked her husband not to volunteer. He laughed it off. The gates open. Fetterman leads the combined force out. But instead of heading directly to the wood train, which is to the west, Fetterman veers north, toward Lodge Trail Ridge. From his headquarters, Carrington watches through field glasses. What is Fetterman doing? Fetterman's thinking is clear to his men. If they approach from the ridge, they can cut off the Indians' retreat, trap them between the relief force and the wood train. Finally, get a real fight. As Fetterman's force climbs toward the ridge, the warriors attacking the wood train suddenly break off. They flee toward the ridge. On top of the ridge, 10 warriors appear. They sit on their ponies, watching, waiting. One of them is Crazy Horse. The decoy party performs perfectly. They taunt the soldiers, make obscene gestures. One warrior gets off his horse and shakes his blanket at them. Another warrior, probably Crazy Horse according to survivor accounts from other battles, performs an elaborate display. He rides back and forth, just out of rifle range. His horse appears to be limping. He seems to be checking its hooves. He almost falls off. The soldiers laugh. Look at this fool, can't even control his horse. The infantry fires a volley. The bullets fall short. The warriors edge backward down the reverse slope of the ridge, still visible, still taunting. Fetterman orders the cavalry forward. Lieutenant Drummond, take your men and catch those Indians. Drummond leads the 27 cavalry in pursuit. They thunder over the ridge and down the other side. From the fort, Carrington watches Fetterman's infantry disappear over the ridge, following the cavalry. He immediately orders the howitzer fired, the signal to return immediately. The boom echoes across the frozen landscape. Fetterman doesn't even pause. Behind Lodge Trail Ridge, in the valley of Pennow Creek, 2,000 warriors wait in perfect silence. Red Cloud has planned this for weeks. Every warrior knows his position. Every war society has its assignment. The Lakota, Oglala, Minneconjou, Sanzark, Brule, the Northern Cheyenne, the Arapaho. All united for this moment. They're hidden in two long lines along both sides of the trail, concealed in ravines, behind rocks, in the tall grass along the creek. Some have been in position since before dawn, covered with buffalo robes, dusted with snow, invisible. Young boys hold the warriors' horses in a draw out of sight. The warriors are on foot, ready to spring. Red Cloud watches from a hill overlooking the valley. He sees the cavalry racing down after the decoys. He sees the infantry following. He waits. The decoys lead the cavalry 2 miles down the trail. Far enough. Crazy Horse wheels his injured horse around and raises his lance. That's the signal. 2,000 warriors rise from the earth simultaneously. The war cries are deafening. Hoka, hey! From the Lakota, the Cheyenne death songs. Arapaho battle screams. Lieutenant Grumman tries to wheel the cavalry around. Too late. Warriors sweep in from behind, cutting them off from the infantry. The cavalry tries to make a stand. Their Spencer carbines are good for 7 shots without reloading. But 7 shots against hundreds of warriors at close range isn't enough. Warriors count coup first. It's more honorable to touch an enemy than kill him. But after coup, they kill efficiently. War clubs, lances, arrows. A few have firearms captured in previous raids. The infantry, seeing the cavalry overwhelmed, tries to form a defensive square. It's what they were trained to do, what worked in the Civil War. But this isn't the Civil War. They're not facing Confederate charges across open ground. Warriors use the broken terrain, fire arrows from cover. The soldiers fire their Springfields. 1 shot, then they must stand to reload, ram the powder, ram the ball, replace the percussion cap. 30 seconds if they're fast, 20 if they're very good. In those 20 seconds, a warrior can loose 8 arrows, and unlike bullets, arrows are quiet. A soldier doesn't know he's targeted until the arrow hits. Wheatley and Fisher, the civilians with Henry rifles, create a small fortress of death. The Henry rifle fires a .44 rimfire cartridge, not powerful but fast. 16 shots as fast as you can work the lever. Warriors fall around them. Bodies pile up. But 16 shots only last so long. When they run out, when they must reload, the warriors rush in. Fisher goes down first, then Wheatley. Their scalps are taken. Their rifles now belong to the warriors. Fetterman tries to rally the infantry on a small hill. They form a tight circle, back to back, bayonets out. The fighting is close now, hand to hand. Soldiers swing rifles like clubs. Warriors use tomahawks and knives. Some soldiers, seeing the situation is hopeless, shoot themselves rather than be captured. They've heard stories about torture. Most are false, but fear is fear. Captain Brown is among the last to fall. He and Fetterman are found later side by side, each shot in the temple. Powder burns indicate close range. Some historians believe they shot each other rather than be taken alive. But that's speculation. No one survived to say what happened. The entire fight lasts perhaps 20 minutes, 30 at most. Some accounts say it was over in less time than it takes to eat a meal. When the war cries stop, all 81 soldiers are dead. The warriors begin taking trophies, weapons, ammunition, uniforms. They count coup on the dead. Take scalps, it's their way. Victory must be marked. The mutilations that so shocked soldiers who found the bodies later had spiritual meaning. Eyes removed so the spirit can't see in the afterlife. Hands cut off so they can't fight. Arrows left in bodies to identify which warrior society made the kill. But there's one exception, bugler Adolf Metzger. During the fight, when his ammunition ran out, Metzger used his bugle as a weapon, swinging it like a club, fighting to the end. The warriors respected this. His body was not mutilated. They covered him with a buffalo robe, a sign of honor for a brave enemy. Back at Fort Phil Kearny, Carrington hears the gunfire. It starts heavy, sustained, then slows, then stops completely. The silence is worse than the shooting. He immediately orders Captain Tenador 10 Ike to prepare a relief force, 40 infantry, 30 cavalry, 2 wagons with medical supplies. 10 Ike is an experienced officer. Careful, He leads his men toward Lodge Trail Ridge. As he approaches the ridge, he sees hundreds of warriors on the other side. They're stripping bodies, taking trophies. They look up at him. They want him to come down, to add his soldiers to the dead. Ten Eyck doesn't take the bait. He can see no movement among the soldiers' bodies below, no survivors to rescue. He retreats to the fort. That night, a blizzard hits. The temperature drops to -40. No one sleeps in the fort. They know everyone in Fetterman's command is dead. They can hear the victory celebrations from the Indian camps, drums, singing, gunfire from captured weapons. The soldiers expect an attack on the fort itself. All night they stand at the walls, watching, waiting, freezing. But Red Cloud doesn't attack the fort. That was never his plan. He's sent his message. The next morning, December 22nd, the blizzard has passed. Carrington sends out a recovery detail. 80 men. All the soldiers he can spare and still defend the fort. What they find becomes the stuff of nightmares. The bodies are scattered along a 3-mile stretch. The cavalry furthest out, the infantry on the hill. All stripped of clothing, mutilated according to Plains Indian custom. Some bodies have over 100 arrows in them, warriors from different societies claiming their kills. The recovery detail loads the frozen corpses onto wagons. The bodies are like cordwood, frozen solid, arms and legs sticking out at angles. Frances Drummond watches from the fort walls as they bring in her husband's body. She'll give birth to their son 5 months later. The boy will never know his father. The news of the Fetterman Massacre spreads across the country by telegraph. Newspapers scream headlines: "Horrible massacre, 81 soldiers slaughtered, red savages must be punished." The army wants revenge. General William T. Sherman, the same Sherman who burned Atlanta, declares, "We must act with vindictive earnestness against the Sioux, even to their extermination, men, women, and children." But Red Cloud isn't finished. For the next year and a half, he makes the Bozeman Trail unusable. Every wagon train is attacked, every military patrol ambushed. The forts become prisons. Soldiers can't leave without dying. Fort Kearny is attacked constantly. In one fight, the wagon box fight of August 1867, soldiers with new breech-loading rifles hold off a massive attack. But they're still trapped. The government tries to negotiate. Red Cloud refuses. His terms are simple: abandon the forts, close the Bozeman Trail, leave our land forever. In 1868, the government admits defeat. The Treaty of Fort Laramie, 1868. The United States agrees to abandon all 3 forts along the Bozeman Trail. The road will be closed. The Powder River country recognized as unceded Indian territory. Red Cloud waits until the forts are actually abandoned. He watches as soldiers march out of Fort Kearny. As soon as they're gone, his warriors burn it to the ground. Only then does he come to Fort Laramie to sign the treaty. Red Cloud won, the only Native American leader to win a war against the United States. But here's the tragedy. The victory lasted exactly 6 years. In 1874, George Armstrong Custer leads an expedition into the Black Hills. He finds gold. Within months, thousands of miners flood into the hills. The Black Hills are sacred to the Lakota, the heart of their world, and they're part of the territory guaranteed by the 1868 treaty. The government tries to buy the Black Hills. Red Cloud and other chiefs refuse, so the government decides to take them anyway. This leads to the Great Sioux War of 1876. Red Cloud doesn't fight in this war. He's 54 years old. He counsels peace. Younger leaders like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse lead the resistance. They win at Little Bighorn. Custer dies. But it doesn't matter. After Little Bighorn, the army sends thousands of troops. The Lakota are hunted down, starved out, forced onto reservations. By 1877, the Powder River country is gone. The Black Hills are gone. Everything Red Cloud fought for is taken. Red Cloud lives until 1909, 88 years old, blind. living on Pine Ridge Reservation in a wooden house provided by the government. Near the end, he said, "The white men made me many promises, more than I can remember, but they kept only one. They promised to take our land, and they took it." He also said, "I was hostile to the white man. We preferred hunting to a life of idleness on our reservations. At times we did not get enough to eat and we were not allowed to hunt. All we wanted was peace and to be left alone." Captain Fetterman got his wish. He rode through the Sioux Nation once. It took 20 minutes and it cost 81 lives, but his death proved something important. Native warriors weren't primitive savages. They were sophisticated military strategists defending their homeland. Red Cloud's ambush at Lodge Trail Ridge remains a masterclass in tactics, studied at West Point, analyzed at war colleges worldwide. The lesson: underestimating your enemy based on racial prejudice isn't just morally wrong, it's tactically fatal. Fetterman learned that in 20 minutes of blood and terror. The United States military learned it over centuries of Indian wars, and some people still haven't learned it at all. So here's my question for you. Was Red Cloud a military genius, or did Fetterman's arrogance make victory inevitable? Comment below. I read all your responses. If you want more untold stories from the American frontier, stories that reveal the truth behind the myths, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Next time, the Camp Grant Massacre. 150 Apache women and children killed while under military protection by Americans, and the killers were celebrated as heroes. The real story will shock you. That's next week. You won't want to miss it.